Bengals week. Our third challenge in the AFC North. This is the Bengals week. Are we winning the game? Are we getting? Is Lamar gonna lose a game against the Bengals? He's currently 1-0. Or are they gonna get the best of us, right? We're gonna talk about this and a couple things more coming right out.
Renegade.
Hey guys, my name is Sonny. Welcome to szg Sports, and this is your first time here and you love So Ravens content, or you're from another team and you just want a perspective from another fan, for a YouTuber from another team. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button so you can stay up to date every time I upload a video, or when I up the live streams, when I kick the live stream at 8:30 every Tuesday, it gets alerted to you. Okay guys? Anyway, Bengals week. We get the Bengals this week. The Bengals are a team that is so frustrating because we should have beat them so many times and they every time beat us, right? Last 10 games we lost 7. Not 3, not 4, 7. 7 times in the last 10 games we have lost against the Bengals. For all the things that we talk about the Steelers are the team. I mean, this year is the Browns, but before that, every other year was the Steelers. They're the biggest competition, blah, blah, blah. The Bengals always had the best of us. But Lamar hasn't lost against the Bengals yet, and hopefully this doesn't start this week. And I'm not predicting that either. So, let's start with this. Keys to the game for this game. Let's start on offense. Right? For our offenses, first and foremost, stay clean. Last week we got 3 turnovers. The week before we got 3 turnovers. We cannot have that. No turnovers is ideal, but no more than 1, right? No more than 1. Okay, so we start with that. That goes for fumbling. That goes for Lamar not throwing any picks. How I see this offensive plan should be run the damn ball. And then the second down, run the damn ball. Third down. Look, the Bengals currently are the second worst team against the run. 31st. That means they are allowing 167.6 yards per game. It's a lot of yardage, and they haven't seen a team like us. They're just bad on linebacker wise. They're bad. They still have Dunlap, they still have Atkins, but they're just bad. So, and our offense is decent against the run. They were constructed for the running game. Although I do think they're pretty good on the passing side, but for running for sure. So I think we should run. Second, once we start running, and last year we gassed them, that defense will collapse. And then, what do? Now you can go ahead and pass. The Bengals on the passing side are not that much better. They're a middle of a pack team. So, they do have some playmakers on the safety side. They still have William Jackson over there on the corner side. So they do have some playmakers on the passing game. But there will be holes once we gash them for runs. That is important. Again, you run the ball and set up the pass. Third, and this is something me and Noobs has talked about, Jackson B. And don't worry about balancing the offense. If this game is a game that goes 80-20, 80% of the time we run the ball and 20% of the time we pass, that's fine. Look what the Niners did against the Browns. Running was working. Should we pass? Occasionally. We don't need to be balanced. Let's run the damn ball. That's what they did. And that was successful for them. So the Ravens should apply the same logic whenever it's necessary. If the next game is all passing, then you just pass. But for this game, push, run the ball. Exploit the middle linebacker. So on the passing plays, look for the screens. Look for the flat. Those middle linebackers cannot cover our running backs. Also, our tight ends. I don't see anybody that can cover our tight ends or running back against the Bengals. It will be a mismatch all during the whole game. So, tight ends, running back should have a big game. Running game should have a big game. Either Lamar or Ingram, Hill, or Gus. Third, left guard, Mr. Bozeman. I don't know if you're there. Are you there? Dude, you need to protect. Dunlap Atkins plays inside, Dunlap plays a little bit more outside, but they're going to do stunts and they're going to try to exploit that left guard position. We need to be ready and we need to contain. Our bookend tackles have been doing good. Yanda had one of the worst games that I've seen in a while from Yanda, but still, it was bad on Yanda standard. It wasn't like it was atrocious. We go back to Bozeman, atrocious. So he needs to clean that up. He needs to protect Lamar. Make sure that pressure to the middle doesn't get to Lamar, so he doesn't have to hurry to throw. Avoid interceptions. Fourth, we need to make sure we don't have drop balls. We continue to drop balls. It's not as bad as other years, but still, I understand when they're tough completions. Meaning, for example, the Boyle one that ended up being a pick. It's a hell of an attempt for Boyle. It wasn't necessarily a drop. It was an interception, right? The guy took it for him, but that's a tough pass. But Hollywood has been, dropping some balls. He needs to clean that up. Fifth, start to stay healthy, guys. That's important. Coming out of this game healthy is the key to this game. In my opinion, this game we should win. We have said this before against the Bengals. So, okay, let's flip it on the defensive side. They don't have the Raven Killer on AJ Green. John Ross started good this year, and he's in the IR. So they have Boyd and Eifert, 2 weapons. Now, the Bengals on the offensive side, on the passing side, they're putting almost 300 yards per game. Or not 300, 258. That's 9th in the league, so it's top 10. That's not bad. But total yardage, they're 26. And it's because that rushing attack for Mixon, 61 yards per rush. So, this is something that I got sent back-to-back weeks. This is my 3rd week saying it. Make them one-dimensional. Choke that run. No runs along through the middle to between the tackles. Mixon, stop that run between the tackles with Mixon. Edge rushers. Set that edge. Contain them. If you make them rush for 61 yards, that's their average. I'm not even saying make sure you choke them more than that. No. Keep them in their average. Right? I'm not saying overdo it. I'm not here saying rush for 20 or 30. 61. They're going to get forced to throw the ball. That helps your secondary. Now they're throwing the ball. Set up those 3rd and longs. They're averaging 16 points a game. Hey, let's keep it at 16. Again, not telling them make sure they score under 16. 16 points should be fine for our offense to score over that and win the game. Right? So, make sure we make them one-dimensional. No running between the tackles. Set that edge. 61 yards, no more than that. Make them one-dimensional on the defensive side. On the passing side, I don't expect Humphries to be shadowing Boyd, to be honest. When Boyd goes outside, which is not typical, Humphries will get him. In the meantime, I think you're going to put either Kennedy or Carr on the slot with him. And then the other person will go with Eifert. I actually expect some zone defense against this team. I don't love when we go zone defense, but I'm expecting that, especially because they don't have a big outside target that we have to look for. So I'm expecting them to have zones, and they need to make sure, talk in the zone, pass that guy. When it gets out of my zone, make sure the other guy has it, right? Concern, who gets the green dot, that person needs to make sure the defensive message, the defensive play call is relayed so we don't have any blown coverage. Another key in the defensive side, their O-line is weak. Now, we don't have the Steelers D-line or the Niners D-line to create pressure for 4. But I'm expecting Dalton to go at least 4 times. As I said this week, I'm expecting Ferguson to get his first either sack or half a sack. This is the week to do it. The O-line for the Bengals is soft. It's weak. We need to exploit that. We need to make sure we get pressure. If not sack, at least pressure hit Andy Dalton. So he can, again, I keep saying this phrase, so he can start seeing some ghosts. It's Halloween. And he then throws the ball quicker than he needs to. He accelerates that throw. And that's when a guy like E.T. or anybody, Humphries or whoever, can make that pick. Anyway, this episode, I didn't say that at the beginning, but this episode has a behind enemy lines, and I have one of my favorite AFC North YouTuber, my boy Ace Boogie. So he's gonna give you his perspective of how this game's gonna go, and on the other side, we're gonna wrap this video up with a score prediction. Take it away, Ace.
Hey, Sonny, it's your boy Ace Boogie, representing the Bengals of New Stripe City, here to break down the latest matchup between the Bengals and the Ravens. So, first things first, I have to issue an apology to some of the Ravens fans because obviously we had our roundtable, and I'm not going to apologize for everything, but one thing that I said that I was wrong about is that the Ravens did not have any receivers. They didn't put enough guys around Lamar Jackson. And I think that it's been proven that Hollywood Brown and I believe Boykin as well have been pretty solid for you guys. So I'll start there. So let's talk about this. I think that the Ravens are actually built, like Sonny said, Sonny did call this early on. With our lack of linebackers and things of that nature, being able to stop this run, the Baltimore Ravens are the perfect team to provide some kryptonite for this Bengals defense. This Bengals defense literally hasn't been able to stop anything in terms of the run game, right? So already there, I see Lamar Jackson and Mark Ingram posing problems for this defense. I just keep it real. I'm not going to throw some Bengals glasses on here and feed you guys a bunch of BS. That's just what it is. It was so bad that the Steelers, ever since the Bengals played the 49ers, everyone has been copying exactly what the 49ers did in order to rout us by 41 points. Not 41 points, but 41 or 17. But the game plan really is to attack the edges against the Bengals. It's really to run the ball down their throats, and every team has done that. You even look at the Monday night game. The Squealers even decided to deploy, a wildcat kind of formation against the Bengals and try to go at them vertically and horizontally, and it's worked. So right there's going to be an issue for the Bengals in terms of the Ravens, where you have Lamar Jackson, where you have Mark Ingram, where you have some of those running backs that can get in space and make plays. The Bengals are going to struggle there. On terms of offense, this Bengals offense has struggled as well without having A.J. Green, losing a lot of offensive linemen. The Bengals really have been putting out one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL, and it's shown. It started with the loss of Jonah Williams, and then Cordy Glenn has been in concussion protocol for almost 2 months now, and no one seems to know what's going on. But as a result of that, it's led to guys off of the street essentially starting left tackle and right tackle. And it's just been a really bad situation for the Bengals offensive line. As you saw that Andy Dalton was sacked 8 times against Pittsburgh. They made some adjustments last game. I think he was only sacked once against the Cardinals, which was very impressive considering that Chandler Jones and Terrell Suggs were off in Arizona. Now, in terms of what the Ravens can do to beat the Bengals, I think as long as they just show up to M&T Stadium, they should come away with a win. But the Bengals right now, they're not a team that's given up. This is a team that could have been possibly 3-2, right? They've had some very close games, but there have been mistakes made by the team within certain moments of the game that have led to losses. 3 games that they could have won: the Buffalo Bills game, you talk about the Seattle Seahawks game, and then you probably talk about the Arizona game, which they came back on, but just couldn't put things together. And one of the faults of this team is that they are unable to put 2 halves of football together. There's a lot of things that limit them, primarily Andy Dalton, who is not having a great year. Had a pretty decent game last week, but he's not a guy that can elevate the play of this team by himself. And, being without an A.J. Green, now John Ross, they're throwing guys out there with undrafted receivers and seventh round receivers. Although I'm a fan of guys like Auden Tate and, your Stanley Morgans and things of that nature, these aren't guys that are going to really scare the Baltimore defense. Now, the Baltimore defense is struggling, but given that the Bengals cannot run the ball with the offensive line struggling with Joe Mixon, being that they, really can't rely on anybody outside of Tyler Boyd and Auden Tate, this is a limited offense. And so I think the Ravens, if they want to get their defense back on track, they can get it back on track against us. But right now, it's going to be a team where I think that the game will be a lot closer than people think. Although the defense is pretty bad on the ground, they do have a tendency to cause some 3-and-outs, but usually our offense is unable to answer the bell. And what ends up happening in most games is that the time of possession is generally controlled by the opponent. And so the Bengals defense will make these stops. We saw it last week with the Cardinals where they held them to 13 points. We saw it the week before or 2 weeks before with the Bills where they were able to make stops, but the offense couldn't capitalize. And, Zach Taylor is a rookie head coach, and he's still trying to find his way, and he's been having issues. But to me, our primary issue really has just been, relying on Andy Dalton. And if the Ravens can make Andy Dalton a guy that's going to have to beat them in this game, that's an easy win. But the reason I say that is the Bengals are 0-5, right? So we kind of talked about this and touched on this early on in the process, and that's where Sonny kind of saw us being at. That's where a lot of people actually saw us being at, and I think that our fans thought that we were much better than that. And due to the injuries, due to a team that's in transition with a new defensive coordinator, with a new head coach, with a new offense, a mix of injuries that have really just decimated this team, you've got the 0-5 Bengals. Like I said, this team could easily be 3-2. Me personally, I'm looking towards the future because the AFC North to me is just really trash. I mean, saying that the Ravens and the Browns and even the Steelers are better than the Bengals this year doesn't really say much because the AFC North is complete trash this year from a whole standpoint. You guys included. So sorry to rain on your parade, but I think that early on I thought that the Ravens would regress a little bit. I thought that they would be 7-9, 8-8. Same with the Steelers. I think that 7-9 or 8-8 could possibly win this division with how bad all the teams are looking, and it's essentially going to come down to divisional games. And so, with the Browns losing to the 49ers pretty bad, we're going to have to see how things play out for the whole division. But my goal right now is for the Bengals to honestly lose as many games as possible. And it's not because I have no faith in the Bengals and things of that nature. I think we want to do something similar in terms of Cleveland and Baltimore, in terms of the changing of the guard at the quarterback position. I've been through 10 years of Andy Dalton. Kind of tired of it right now. So I really hope that you guys actually do come in and win this game. And it sucks to have to say that for it being a divisional game. But in order for the Bengals, I think, to move on from Andy Dalton, I think that requires a top 2 pick. So you'll probably see the Bengals come out and definitely play against you guys pretty hard. You guys are a 13 or 11.5 point favorite at home. I don't think that the spread will cover unless you guys, just run it all over us. But even if you run the ball, I don't see you guys dropping like a 30 or anything piece like that. I could be wrong. But the Bengals really, I think their season high this year, they put up, I think, like 24 points or something like that. So if that is the case, I think that you guys still win this game. I think that, the Bengals might put up a little bit of a challenge for you guys, but I think from a defensive standpoint, I just look at Lamar Jackson. I look at guys like Hollywood Brown, who, if you guys put him on Dre, that's barbecue chicken. I just see this game being easy for the Ravens to win, just because from a matchup standpoint, you guys do a lot of things similar to what San Francisco did to us, and what the Pittsburgh Steelers did to us. So just being a realist, you guys will probably win this game. The Bengals are just at a point where, with no A.J. Green, with a rookie head coach, no John Ross, offensive line playing horribly, Cordy Glenn not even playing. They're just not in a position right now to be a good team. But they're better than their record may indicate, which kind of sounds crazy. But the way I see it is that Baltimore convincingly probably wins this game. You guys get back on track. But I think one thing that you guys have to ask yourselves is, the AFC North is in transition. And, there's a lot of teams in this division that don't look good. You talk about outside of the AFC North, you talk about the AFC in general. I mean, you talk about the NFL in general, this might be surprisingly the worst division in sports. So I'm looking forward to the game. I'm interested to see what you guys do the rest of the season. But, yeah, man, that's my take. I think that you guys probably easily beat us. And, I'm already looking at mock drafts right now, bro. That's where I'm at with it. But, Sonny, thanks for having me on. I'm sure we can do a huge recap at the end of the season. I'm looking forward to that. But if you guys are looking for my stuff, you can find me over on New Stripe City on YouTube. If you just want to keep up with things that the Bengals are doing, you can catch me there. If you need injury updates or things of that nature, catch me there. But as usual, I'll leave you guys with a who day, all day, every day, especially on Sunday, except this Sunday, because you guys are probably going to whoop us. So, Sonny, thanks for having me. Who day.
There you have it, from a Bengals YouTuber. Again, thank you for him for joining me and to have this video for the collab for Behind Enemy Lines. But I told you guys that I was going to wrap it up and put some score predictions. So let's very quickly, keys to the game on offensive side, protect Lamar, especially in that middle. Make sure Atkins and Dunlap don't have a big game. Running backs, it's your game to have a big game. Not only on the running side, on the passing side, those linebackers cannot contain this running attack and this running backs. Also, the tight ends, there's no coverage for you. The other side, Hollywood and the receivers, I'm not expecting big game for them. But for tight ends and running backs, exploit, screen. This is the game to bring that screen game on it. And Lamar, just play you, man. Don't overthink it. Don't overdo it. And no turnovers. Make sure we got back-to-back weeks with 3 turnovers. On the flip side, on the defensive side, make them one-dimensional. Don't let them have more than 61 yards per game. Don't let them score more than 16 points. Make that one dimension. That will allow you to play that pass in a better situation, 3rd and longs. That's how picks are produced. O-line is weak. Make sure you hit pressure. Make sure you hit Dalton. Accelerates the throw. And that way, we can get some of the picks. So, score prediction. I'm going to say the Bengals are going to hit exactly their average. 16 points. 16 points. Touchdown and 3 field goals. What are the Ravens going to do? 27. 27-16 Ravens. We go 4-2. Not bad after 6 games. Going to Seattle, which is going to be a tough game. Hey guys, if you like this video, subscribe here. Also, follow me Twitter, Facebook, IG, and obviously YouTube at szg.sports. And if you like the video, like, share, subscribe, so you can help me get to the 1K, my 1K mark. Also, don't forget, every Tuesday at 8:30 we do a live stream. Before you leave, check one of the videos here on the side. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.